In the 1980s, Bang & Olufsen launched a product range that lasted until the early 2000s. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. It's sitting in this box behind me. This is the original box for this Beocenter 9500, and as you can see from the stickers here, it was delivered by air cargo from Denmark to Auckland, New Zealand in the early 1990s. Opening up the box, you can see that there are the instructions on how to take out the packaging. And you get the instruction manuals. Right, so we're going to remove these pieces of styrofoam. They've also got the Bang & Olufsen logo on there, which is pretty cool. Now we've got to get it out, and it's really heavy. It weighs an absolute ton. The design is minimalist yet imposing. It features sharp lines, and it looks as if it was made out of one piece of granite. Featuring mirrored surfaces contrasting against black glass, this doesn't actually look like a piece of hi-fi equipment, and it's not until you turn it on and it starts lighting up that its true purpose as a piece of audio equipment is revealed. The Beocenter 9500 looks like a sci-fi vision of the future from the late 1980s. There's no buttons, instead you tap on the glass to perform operations. When you load the tape or the CD, these doors slide behind and just disappear out of sight. So to play a CD, you push load CD and the door slides silently away. Everything about the Bang & Olufsen Beocenter 9500 is a little bit weird. When you're playing a CD, you have these fast forward and rewind controls, but it doesn't play it when you take your finger away. You have to click CD again. So that's quirky. And in terms of changing track, you push track 5 and then up here it flashes track 5 and then it starts playing track 5. If you want to play track 14, you go 1, 4, and it will play track 14. And up here, it will display how many tracks you have in total. So the more tracks you have, the more numbers you get displayed. So here's another CD which has 17 tracks. Different things light up in different modes. So when we go into tape mode, well, first off the door opens to say put a tape in me because there's no tape inside. And then you can start playing the tape.
All the clouds, the last minute. My heart must be made of stone.
Me by my name, so it's a good day.
Just to keep them alive.
It's featured on, will be out June 7th, 2024, this year.
It's worth mentioning that you're going to probably need to use the manual quite a bit with the Beocenter 9500 because things that might sort of be obvious aren't. So tuning a station, to actually tune to another station other than changing to your next preset, you have to click search, and then you have other controls here that allow you then to search for another station. And while it's kind of obvious once you get the manual out, without the manual it's a little bit difficult to figure out. It actually suggests that you put your radio presets in the manual and write them down here, which is interesting. Bang & Olufsen likes to do remote controls a little bit differently. In the accessories brochure, you can see that you can actually get 3 types of remote controls for the Beocenter 9500, and the Beolink 7000 can have its very own floor stand. What other company in the world sells a floor stand for a remote control? The Beocenter 9500 was meant to be sold with the Beolink 5000 remote control, which has its own brochure. It's quite an interesting remote control because it features buttons on both sides of it, so on the bottom and on the top. It features a see-through LCD display. However, given that this remote control is now 30 years old, that's a part that now no longer works. However, as cool as it is, it's kind of unnecessary because it doesn't give you much information. It has a couple of pixels in it that tell you that you're in radio mode. It functions very much like this, the Beo4 remote control, which does not have a see-through display. They didn't keep this design around very long, probably because they kept breaking. Up front it features a microphone input and a headphone output. Around the back we have all the connections needed for the Beocenter 9500. This includes the proprietary power link inputs for active Bang & Olufsen speakers, power links here and here, TV auxiliary input, another tape input and a phono preamp input. And it also has speaker outputs if you wanted to connect traditional speakers, and there is also a FM antenna and an AM antenna. The Bang & Olufsen Beocenter 9500 looks like a sci-fi vision of a future from the late 1980s, and it was in 1986 where the 9500's predecessor, the 9000, was launched. Designed by the famous Bang & Olufsen designer Jacob Jensen, the 9000 followed the design language he had established with Bang & Olufsen products during the decade of the 1980s. So it's instantly recognizable as a Bang & Olufsen product from that time period. The Bang & Olufsen Beocenter 9500 replaced the Beocenter 9000 in 1989. The main visual differences was that there was a white line around the edge of the product and there was mirrored finishes on the CD doors instead of brushed aluminium. In 1989, Bang & Olufsen also launched the Beocenter 8500 as a cheaper model, but there wasn't very much to distinguish the 8500 from the 9500. There was only a few key differences, like not having a timer and being painted in flat grey rather than the polished aluminium. And Bang & Olufsen launched an even cheaper model, the Beocenter 8000, which didn't feature the power link sockets. And in 1994, the final revision, the Beocenter 9300, was launched, and this would see the range through until the end of production in the year 2000. As for sound quality, it sounds fantastic through the Beolab 8000 speakers I have, going through the PowerLink outputs. It also sounds absolutely wonderful through the headphone output. It has speaker outputs, which of course makes this the top of a range model and an interesting product because most Bang & Olufsen products before this just had speaker outputs and most Bang & Olufsen products after this just had PowerLink outputs. This very much is a transitional model by featuring both. And of course this also has a phono input so you can connect a Bang & Olufsen record player. And like most Bang & Olufsen products, it's big and imposing and certainly stands out in the room. You can't miss it, it's so big. And like most Bang & Olufsen products, it's better to look at than it is to actually use. As to use, it's not so fantastic, but like I said, that's typical of Bang & Olufsen. They like to make things that look great, but functionality definitely comes second to visual aesthetics. The only downside to a product like this is maintenance. I have spent quite a long time getting this one working, and if you would like to see a full in-depth video of me repairing this Beocenter 9500, then click the link above. Okay, that brings us on to the end of the video. If you enjoyed watching, please leave a like, consider subscribing, or share a comment. I'll see you guys and girls all again very soon for another Andy Lights Cars audio review video.